We start off by seeing a man by a computer, and he is talking to someone on the phone. The man asks the other person if he fought him alone, but the man on the phone says that he was with another person, a new sorcerer. The guy says that it's weird, and that the numbers do not add up, and that this could be the 100th sorcerer. We then get to our main character, Aoki Tokiya, who is singing karaoke, when suddenly the phone in the room starts ringing. He picks it up and hears that it's Tanaka. Tanaka says that he is sorry that Tokiya came here on his private time, but he asks him if he can come and cover his shift. Tokiya just smiles and says that it's all good. Tanaka is super happy and calls him a savior. Tokiya lets him know that he is on his way and puts down the phone. He then starts speaking to his microphone and apologizes and says that they are done for today. He then puts on his working clothes, and the manager explains that he seems to have a mixer, and Tokiya says that it can't be helped and starts cleaning the store when suddenly a customer walks in, and when he's about to welcome him, he just sits down on the sofa. Tokiya goes forward and asks if he has checked in yet. However, the mysterious guy says that right now, he's just waiting for a friend. Tokiya then asks him if he would like to book a room, but that's when his manager comes in his way and apologizes, and says that they are currently full. However, Tokiya tells him that there should be one open room. But before he can finish his sentence, the co-worker gives him a couple of drinks and tells him to go with them to room 43. After he is done with serving the drinks to room 43, he thinks that this is the first time he has seen the manager's pissed look. He then walks into the manager's office, where he asks why he lied about the rooms being full just now. The manager says that they haven't told him, however, in room 13, which he was about to lead the customer into, there's something bizarre that happened there, and that the person who entered that room went missing, even though there are signs of them entering the room. Tokiya is shocked and asks if he has discussed it with the police, but Tanaka says that he hasn't, but that there is a video uploaded about them being spirited away, explaining that there is no log about them leaving the room, and that there's no proof of them going missing inside the store either, which means that the person could also be the one who uploaded it, telling Tokiya that there's no reason to make a big fuss out of it. However, Tokiya slams his hand into the table and says that he is against it, and that it doesn't feel right, and that the store's profit, or who the other party is, doesn't matter, and that this is someone's life they are talking about. Tanaka is a bit shocked, but tells Tokiya that the room is still off limits for now. Before he shows him that the video is really uploaded, Tokiya then thinks that even if it's the truth, and if it's written out this way, it will be dismissed, and that he has to deliver it to the police. As he is about to leave, however, he hears a super strange sound coming from room number 13. Even though that room is off limits, he goes closer and then opens the door. However, to his surprise, the room is completely fine, and there is no one in there. We then get to the guy before who also has the same video and says that the store's name is also written, thinking that the uploader can't be identified, and that this phenomenon is definitely a specialized case, and that there's no choice but to investigate it, and that he has no choice but to simply wait here. Then another worker comes and lets him know that another room is ready for him, but right then, his eyes lights up as he can feel something. We then get back to Tokiya, who can hear something starting to howl. He goes into his bag and searches for his microphone while thinking that the howling is just getting louder and louder. Just then, some strange flying creature appears behind him, also known as a yukai. The yukai says that he isn't a girl. Tokiya can't believe his eyes, but the yukai then attacks Tokiya, which makes him fly away and also ends up flying out of the window. This catches the guy's attention from earlier, and he hears the window being broken, so he asks which room has a window, and the girl tells him that it's room 13, which is directly above them, and he then starts sprinting for all that he can towards room number 13. However, as he enters into the room, everything is totally fine. He starts to pick something up from his bag and thinks that they have already gone to the other side, and that he also needs to go there. Suddenly, the girl and the manager start running to catch up. However, as they have just arrived in the room, he's suddenly gone, but the manager doesn't look surprised, which is the most worrying part. We then get back to Tokiya, who's just fallen on top of a car. Tokiya can't believe his eyes, and he says that this can't be real. The yukai, on the other hand, looks annoyed, and he says that he has no use for Tokiya as he starts to prepare another attack directed towards Tokiya. But luckily, Tokiya manages to react just in time, and he jumps off the car and makes a faceplant into the ground. The yukai says that he wanted a girl, and not a boy, and he is frustrated, but just as he is having his little crash out, someone comes from behind him and says that there's one more guy here. Obviously, it's the mysterious guy from before who tries to shoot the yukai with some sort of laser weapon, but the yukai manages to get away. Tokiya is just surprised to see the customer from before here. The mysterious guy smirks at the yukai, who is mad that he has already caught up, and calls him that impudent sorcerer, meaning that they have some sort of history with each other. He tells him to eat this as he sends an air slash towards him. Tokiya screams at him to be careful. However, it's too late as the building is already starting to blow up. The yukai gets close and wonders if he is down. He can't see him and thinks that he has done it and that he is so insanely strong. But in reality, the other guy snuck to another window. He says that he's more aggressive than he thought and that the numbers are down by 5,000. He then jumps down from the building and runs towards Tokiya, asking if he is fine. He says that he is, and the other guy then tells him to come. Tokiya gets to him, and the mysterious guy explains that this place is somewhere only magicians and invited people are able to enter. Tokiya doesn't really understand and asks where they are, and he explains that this is the world of spells, another world where evil spirits reside. Tokiya is confused and asks what he means by another world, but he says that he will explain it later, saying that to return back to the real world, this world of spells ruler, meaning the yukai, has to be defeated. Tokiya asks if there is anything he can do to help. However, the guy says that evil spirits can't be harmed by normal means, and says that he can only fight with a Tsukumogami weapon that he is in contract with, which is why Tokiya should just leave the yukai to him. Tokiya gets mad because of this, and the other guy admits that he has courage, and that he has taken a liking to him, so he asks Tokiya for his name, which he tells him. The guy then finally introduces himself as Midorima Kei, and he tells Tokiya to go look around to check if there's anyone else who got summoned. Tokiya says, "Alright," and goes to do as Kei tells him to. Kei then jumps into the battlefield, and he attacks the yukai once again. He fires off once again some sort of lasers, which the yukai easily deflects, asking Kei if he is even taking this seriously before telling him that he will deal with Kei first. He then uses his attack Tang takedown, which causes the ground where Kei is standing to just explode pretty much, and the force by it causes Kei to be pushed back. But not only that, as there's a telephone pole behind him starts to fall down, but in the last minute he manages to evade it. He turns around and asks him if he thinks that Kei would fall to such an attack, but he quickly gets interrupted as he sees a ton of more telephone poles coming his way. This forces Kei to start running away. The yukai follows him and tells him to get back. Kei then thinks to himself that from what he can see, this spell world is pretty large, but in comparison, this yukai isn't as strong. Thinking that this situation at worst, however, he isn't able to finish his sentence as the yukai attacks while telling him to stop sneaking around like a mouse. Kei then scratches his teeth together and tells him that his turn is already over. He then says calculations as he throws up his weapon before attaching it to the back of his arm. This causes the weapon to send out some sort of electric ability towards the yukai, which makes him fall to the floor as Kei says that this is the end. Before the yukai is able to actually land on the ground, Kei has already gotten under him and has shot one of his bullets in his chest, which killed the yukai. However, Kei says that it's as he thought and that even after defeating the yukai, the world of spells didn't close. We then see a mysterious man looking at him from above. He calls the yukai useless, but says that it can't be helped. He then tells his Gasha Dokuro to wake up, and as he says that some sort of egg starts to appear behind him. We then get to Tokiya, who is running around. He screams, asking if anyone is here, and that if they are to please responded to him. He then goes to the staff room where he sees someone sitting with his back towards the table. However, as he turns him around, he sees that it's his manager who is lying there dead. He then thinks back to an earlier discussion with his manager, where he says that Tokiya often comes here in his free time, and he asks him if he is a part of a band. However, Tokiya just apologizes. He then says that he doesn't have any dreams of going pro or anything, but that he just enjoys singing alone and that that's his hobby. The manager understands and says that he also loves karaoke and that he is glad that Tokiya always comes to use their stores. He then apologizes to Tokiya for rambling on. However, Tokiya then lights up as he says that he also loves singing and that in the future he will continue to come to this store. The manager is a bit surprised, but says that he is glad to hear that. If that's the case, then today the manager will prepare a slightly bigger room for him, and he tells him to have fun singing. Tokiya thinks that the manager is someone who looks after him like family. We then get to an interview where I guess that Tokiya had applied to work there. The manager says that it's making him quite emotional, and because of that, he has prepared a present from him to Tokiya. Right away Tokiya says that he doesn't have the skills to receive it, but the manager asks him what he is talking about, and asks if he doesn't trust his ears. Tokiya says that it's not that. He explains that he sings because he likes it, but he wonders if it's okay if he stays like that and that the microphone would just be a waste. He looks down and says that this anxiety has been creeping him out, that this might not suit him in the first place. The manager says that he understands, but until the day those voices reach out, he and that microphone will be proof. The manager then thought to himself that if in the future his voice won't come out, even if he can no longer sing songs, then he will probably never forget Tokiya. We then get back to real time, where Tokiya is sitting with the manager's lifeless body, when suddenly the manager appears behind him. Tokiya is so confused and shocked that he says that he is glad that Tokiya is okay and tells him to leave that fake body and to stop staring at it. He grabs Tokiya's arm, telling him that this place is dangerous and to get out quickly. Suddenly, however, someone else appears and says that what's dangerous here is the manager. It's Kei who says that he is the master of this spell world. The manager asks him what he is talking about before telling Tokiya not to listen to him. Kei screams at him to stop screwing with him as he explains that he is the one who pulled them into this spell world and that he is the one who used that yukai. Suddenly Tokiya speaks up and says that the manager wouldn't do that. Kei tells Tokiya not to be fooled so easily, saying that he isn't a kind person and that he can't guarantee that Tokiya won't get hit with the flow. But even then, Tokiya says that the manager he knows wouldn't do that, saying that he won't leave a mic by his feet. He won't call anyone that kind of person, and he wouldn't forget a person's name. He then asks the manager that if he is wrong to please call him Tokiya like he usually does. The manager's expression goes blank and he starts to laugh before saying that he found out, saying that he was almost fooled by a disguise and calls humans funny. Kei screams that he was right after all and that the manager is none other than Yako. Tokiya asks him what he did to the manager before he goes in to punch him, but just as he is about to punch him, a hand comes out of the wall. Yako says that it's Gasha Dokuro's time to shine, and the skeleton-looking screams and flicks away Tokiya with his fingers. Kei jumps behind Tokiya to take away some of the damage. Kei then rushes out again, and he sees Yako in Gasha Dokuro's hand as he tells her that she did well. Kei thinks that they might be in trouble as the dangerous one has arrived. Suddenly a stone is beginning to fall towards the manager, but Kei manages to react in time so he destroys the rock before it can hit the manager. Yako then asks him why he is protecting a corpse, and we then see that Gasha Dokuro is starting to attack Kei. Kei thinks that this is really bad as he can't dodge this, and Gasha Dokuro then slams Kei down towards the ground. Suddenly, Tokiya wakes up and he sees Kei lying helplessly on the ground. He thinks back to when Kei told him that evil spirits cannot be harmed through normal means and that you can only fight with a Tsukumogami weapon that you are contracted with. Tokiya then spots the microphone lying by the manager and suddenly it begins to light up. Tokiya puts out his hand towards it. However, he is too far away, so he starts to crawl towards it. He thinks that he needs a weapon to help Kei and to fight. Kei is just still lying on the ground, but looking at this in shock as he says that Tokiya is making a sorcerer contract in this situation. He then screams at Tokiya that it can't be helped and tells him to show them his will to fight. Tokiya then grabs the mic and the whole room starts to light up, and we then see Tokiya standing up with a super cool looking weapon. His eyes get serious and he starts to rush forward to Yako, screaming that he will kill him. Yako just smiles and tells him to do it if he can, as his Gasha Dokuro starts to fire up another one of his attacks. Kei screams at him to not force himself, but amazingly, he is able to deflect the incoming attack from Gasha Dokuro, which shocks both Kei and Yako. Yako then screams at Gasha Dokuro to protect, but that's when Kei uses his chance and fires an attack, telling Yako that he had his guard down. Tokiya then runs up on Gasha Dokuro's arm and takes back his weapon before he slams it into Gasha Dokuro's face, which ultimately crushes her. Yako is fast, and he jumps away. However, that doesn't stop Tokiya, who jumps after him, and he then throws the cable of the mic towards Yako, which locks onto him. Tokiya then grabs Yako close and uses a new attack called Howling Strike as he punches Yako in his stomach. Yako begins to spit out blood. However, he then snaps back and tells him not to get conceited as he summons a fireball and punches Tokiya with it right in his stomach. Kei is unable to see anything as it's filled with smoke, but suddenly the Gasha Dokuro begins to go away and he runs into the smoke to look for Tokiya. However, he only finds Yako. Yako says that it was expected and that Tokiya fell into a trap and calls it foolish. He then starts to disappear as he says that their plan has been executed successfully. After that, they leave the spirit world and go back to the real world. Kei then picks up Tokiya and makes a call to someone and explaining that the Yukai has been defeated but that the mastermind behind this incident is Yako. He then asks Kei if he fought him alone, but Kei says that he didn't and that he was with another new sorcerer. The guy says that it's weird and that the numbers do not add up and that the 100th is a forbidden existence, explaining that if this keeps up, then this world with humans and the gods' world they call the world of spells will both collapse.